Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, I'm Adam.
We are the founders of the Hummingbird Project. Adam and I met 27 years ago, probably, and before we knew it, we had 5 sons, all under the age of 7. We were very active parents, but young parents also. When our youngest son was born, number 5, I was 27, he was 24.
And split between the big boys and the little boys.
Mm-hmm.
That's how everybody knew us. That we had our 3 sons that were the oldest 3 that were always together, never separated, and then our 2 youngest that were always together, never separated. And everybody would ask, are you talking about the big boys or are you talking about the little boys? Mm-hmm. So that's how we were known.
They grew up in the suburbs, right? We lived in a nice neighborhood. They went to good schools. We were very involved in all of their activities.
We felt like we knew everything that was happening with them. We were always around them, and we were normal.
There was me and my 2 other brothers, Christopher and John. We were the same age. John was a year younger than me. Chris was a year older than me. So we all went to high school together. And so it would just be really us 3 doing things personally together. And then we would do stuff as a family, or like we all played sports as well. So
I had the unique opportunity as being the youngest to learn from all of them, because there was a big age gap. Christopher was 7 years older than me. Bryce is 6 years older than me. John was 5. We didn't always live in the same place, but we always, kept up with each other and supported each other and were there for everything that each other did.
So we grew up in the just say no era, and drugs were not talked about by my family at school other than to just say, don't do it. It's bad. Don't do it. And so that was kind of the approach I took parenting our kids, right? I listened to that rhetoric. I was a people pleaser and a parent pleaser and a teacher pleaser. So for me, it was just, I was told not to do it, so I'm not going to do it. And I kind of expected that my kids would follow that as well. I didn't have any reason to think otherwise. And so I just said, we're not, that's just not something we do. We don't do drugs. We don't smoke. We don't do anything, if you do it, there's going to be consequences. And, but there was never any real talk about it because we didn't have real talk to give them.
I mean, we'd always just do stuff together, but I'd say us 3 older boys were definitely doing everything together and being menaces. And what didn't we do? Sneak out of the house, smoke weed. I mean, lie to our parents about smoking weed.
When we first encountered that they were experimenting and found their little stash of weed in our attic, we got them out of school and made a big deal about the fact that they were smoking. And I think we were both overwhelmed and didn't know exactly how to handle it, but we assumed we're going to ground you, you're going to have to pay these consequences, and then you'll never do it again.
We found out that we thought about how we would get judged a lot, and then also told them they would get judged. So I think we perpetuated the things that we would want to change today, for sure, on our own.
For sure. To me, in my mind, I'm picturing, weed is a gateway drug, right? That's what we were told our whole life. So if they're smoking weed today, 2 years from now, they're going to be homeless, living under a bridge, shooting up heroin, If we were able to arm them with knowledge, they could have had a normal teenage experience, because whether parents want to admit it or not, the likelihood of their child experimenting, somewhere along the spectrum is probable, and I think that if we would have been able to
make it more talked about and make it a little easier for them to bring up, we've turned into completely different parents with our younger sons than we were with our older sons. My biggest takeaway from all of this was a lot of us lead our lives according to an invisible they. Like, what will they think? What will they say if they know that we did this? What will they think about you if they do it? And then You know, when
Who's
you
the
really
they?
when you really think about it on your own, who's they? And then when you really decipher that down even more, it's like, I don't even like they. Most of the people that are the they that I would be worried about, it's just because I know that they talk about everybody. They talk about everything. And I don't really give a shit what they say. You know, I don't like them. So, you know, but most people, the immediate reaction is they've got to turn away from it because it's the they. So, you know, we've really tried with the foundation, and kind of what it was about was we need to not live by the invisible they.
In 2019, our oldest son, Christopher, was 24. Bryce was 23, John 22, Jordan was 19, and Jared was 17. We also had our 6-year-old granddaughter, Penelope, living with us. We had recently moved from Texas to Arizona, so they were getting established and both working full-time jobs. Christopher moved into his own apartment. John was still staying with us. On this particular day, Christopher invited John over. They were just going to stay up all night, play video games, chill, and
Which was normal.
Which was normal, right? They were best friends. Our kids are all best friends, and so I reached out to them a few times, and neither of them answered my call. So I had a feeling, right? I had a feeling something was not right, and when I reached out a couple of times and they didn't answer, and then I noticed my messages started turning green on my iPhone. I called him and I said, you know, so I feel like something's not right with the boys. Like I haven't heard from them since yesterday, and then John was supposed to be at work the following day, and when I hadn't heard from them, I called his work, and he said he didn't make it in today, and in a year he had never even been a minute late.
So there's those couple days beforehand, I kind of felt that something was wrong. You know, there had been times in the past where they hadn't responded. Like, it wasn't that weird of a thing. It was just the duration of it and the nature of, like, they're not responding to anyone. And, you know, thought crossed my mind a couple of times, like I could just stop in there after work one day or after school, I mean, and, you know, driving in that area all the time, it was like crossing my mind.
I had just met my girlfriend, who's now the mother of my 2 children, and she had never even met my brothers yet, but we had went out, and my dad called me, and he said the whole altercation of them not hearing from them. So I was already trying to reach out a lot, and when they're not answering my phone calls and not answering me, then I knew something probably wasn't good.
He was at work. He had gone to his business partner's house for a meeting. So I told him, you know what, I'm just going to drive over there and just check on him and see what's going on. We haven't talked to him in like 2 or 3 days, and that's not normal. And I went to the apartment, and luckily I had co-signed the apartment with him, so my name was on the lease. Because of course, when I knocked on the door, there was no answer. It was silent when I knocked on the door, and I could hear my son's cat meowing really loud. And so I just had a bad feeling that something was not right. I went to the office and gave them my ID and said, you know, I'm on the apartment, and they gave me a key. And I went back and unlocked the door, and I could see them sitting, you know, it was kind of like a studio apartment. So the living room and everything was just all in one room like this. And they were sitting right in front of the TV where they had their video games set up, and each in their own chair. And I could tell that they weren't okay.
I immediately drove over there and talked to her the whole way. And she said, they're not going to make it. And I think that they're already gone. And I told her, I don't want you to move, and stay right where you are. Don't let anything change from where you are right now. And I got there pretty fast, and they were gone.
I was at work, I remember, in my work truck, and my dad called me. He's like, are you at work? And I said, yes. He said, well, you need to stop driving. And I already knew what happened from there, so I knew that they had passed away right then and there, but I didn't know, like, to the extent of them passing away together, which was honestly the most shocking part to me.
I could tell something was wrong because nobody was home. I was by myself, and then my grandma came in, and she was crying right when I got the call from my dad, and he had told me what happened, and I didn't know how to react in the moment, so I kind of just stormed out and got in my car and drove to a park in my neighborhood and just kind of sat there by myself for hours until I heard an update. I was just sitting on a bench in a park somewhere, just thinking, just being angry, not really knowing how to react.
So I remember the day so clearly, and it's probably something that I'm never going to forget, how alive those feelings were. I remember it was just another day where I had just finished school. I had a couple of hours left before I had to head into work for the day. And then I get the call from my mom, and I remember it felt like my entire world shattered in 2 seconds. And I immediately knew right away that this was gonna forever change our family.
I took her outside, and by that time, at least the fire department had shown up. And
they said they thought that they had probably been gone close to 24 hours.
To which we later found out that they had split one
They thought it was an Oxycontin pill.
that they had gotten from somebody in the apartment that they didn't know, and that we found later on that the person that they were at their apartment just met them that day. And they each had taken a half, and they thought that they passed away within 40 seconds or so of each other with each.
When they came back with the
Toxicology.
the amount, that was in there, she said even if there had been, if somebody had been there with them, like that it was.
They said
it was
the fire truck could have been
too fast and
in
too
the
much.
parking lot of the apartment complex, and they could have had 2 or 3 cans of Narcan each. Each fighter could have had them, and it wouldn't have mattered. They wouldn't have been able to administer it fast enough or enough for it to save them.
The toxicology report came out several weeks later, and she said she had never even seen the numbers that were on there. And then also through the investigation, they took their phones and computers and all of those things, and she said they had no idea that's what they were getting. They were trying to find an Oxycontin pill. That's what they thought they had. The other interesting thing is that their numbers were completely different from each other, even though they split one pill. So one of them got a lot more of it than the other one did.
That's the danger that we've learned of it is, it's applied, not obviously medically supervised most times, it's sprayed.
It's called the chocolate chip cookie effect.
When we did get the toxicology report and saw how much it was, we got to also see the information on their phones, and they obviously were not asking for it. They thought that they were going to have a 6-pack of beer and split, an Oxycontin, and passed away within 40 seconds of each other.
The classes I was taking in college was fire science and EMT. So for me, it was a different experience because not only was I a senior in high school, and they have drug awareness programs in your high schools, but I was also in EMT, so I'm reading about this stuff. For me, it was a lot different. It's one thing to read it in a textbook, and then it's another thing for it to happen, and especially happen as close to me, like direct family.
For me, it's really makes you learn that everybody gets to live in like an ignorant bliss, and it never happened. Like, you just live your life thinking that won't happen to me. Like, that's terrible. It happened to these people, but they're not in my life. Like, it's something you can just push off and continue with your day. But since it did happen to us, like it did happen to me, like it's now it's something always on my mind. Like, now I wake up or I see a funny video, I'm like, oh, Chris would like that. And then the whole day happens again.
We didn't know how or when or where, but we knew I wanted my kids to still know that there's good and light and love in the world, and
Because that's how they were.
right, and that bad things happen to good people. I just knew that we didn't have the option of sinking in a hole and not coming back out. Like we just couldn't do that.
We've got 3 other sons that, you know, they need whole parents. And we've got a granddaughter now that's going to need whole parents too.
We've got to find a way through this.
Yep. So, you know, she looked at me and said, the option is that we have to be the best version of ourselves and the best parents that we can be now afterwards. And we have to make sure that everybody knows what happened and that we can help this from not happening anymore to anybody else.
For me, going through paramedic school, I had to do lots of ride-alongs. So I spent 500 hours in a hospital. I spent 500 hours in an ambulance. I got to actually dive deep into like what these things do and how these things actually happen and how true it is that it's a real epidemic. I saw it happen every day. I, tried to help save people that it was happening to. I was able to provide sympathy for those that were unfortunate enough to be put in that same position. Overall, like over time, it started really weighing on me, and it wasn't as easy to get up every morning knowing that there's a chance that I have to go relive this over in someone else's experience.
It's interesting to, like, when you're talking to people about this, because you can, like, when this happens to you, you can see that ignorant bliss that people live in, and they're like, oh no, like, I trust my dealer, like, I trust where I get it from, like, yada, yada, yada. But then as soon as I bring up, oh, my 2 brothers died of a fentanyl overdose from someone they trusted, like, you can kind of see it, like, switch in their brain, and they're like, oh, like, I know this person, they know someone who died from this, like, that kind of does make it seem a little more real. And you, like, then they become more open to getting test strips, getting the things that they can be safe.
I'm not the person that's going to tell you not to do something, but I am going to be the person that's going to tell you to be safe. And I'm going to tell you to, like, test your things. If you're going to consume something, know what you're putting in your body, know the effects of it to your body. Of people that don't know what they're doing and don't really care, and then they just take whatever is given to them, like, this could be the after effect of what happens.
Hi, I'm Penelope. I'm 10 years old. I just turned 10 June 17th. So growing up here has been really, really great. And I have amazing friends here, and there's a park here that I can go to. And I love growing up here. It's so nice. So my dad's a really great guy. I miss him a lot. I have, like, lots of fun memories of him. My dad and uncle passing away, it was really sad. So I just got back from my friend Sophie's house, and then I was so happy when I got home. And then I walked into my noni's room, and then everybody looked sad, and I'm like, what just happened? Then my noni's like, Daddy and John went to heaven. And then I started crying, and, like, it was so sad. He made me laugh a lot. We had a lot of fun times together, in the pool, not in the pool, going fishing, at the aquarium, park, lots of other times. I miss him a lot.
It takes almost nothing. Like 2 or 3 grains of salt are enough to kill somebody. We talked about it back and forth, and I said, we need to shout it from the rooftops. Like, we need people to know that it is this dangerous, that it is this scary, and that it is this serious.
Even their trusted dealers and sources that they're finding these things from, even they don't know where they're getting these things from. So even they have no idea whether their stuff is 100% clean or even the tiniest bit laced or mixed with whatever could be in there. They truly have no idea.
I've never been the person to judge you if you do drugs or if you do them recreationally or whatever. But I will be the person now to educate you on doing them safely, what can happen. A lot of people don't want to hear that when they're talking about doing drugs. Like, they don't want to hear about the scary side of it, but you have to make an informed decision, because if you're not, you're just gambling with your life.
It wasn't just say no as an option. It's just no is the option. KNOW, right? Know what you're taking, know the risks, know what it looks like if somebody's taking it, know the physical reactions that would happen, know what to look for if somebody around you has it, know what you would administer if that would be the case.
What is the hurt in telling people all of the facts, and letting them make informed decisions? We're not promoting drug use, but we're also not shaming and condemning anyone who makes that decision. But we need to be bold and in your face, and we're probably going to ruffle some feathers and, piss some people off. But that's the only way it's going to change.
So one of the great things about the Hummingbird Project is we do kindness rocks on my dad's birthday or my uncle's birthday or their anniversary of passing. And if you don't know what kindness rocks are, I'm going to explain it right now. So basically, kindness rocks are where you paint rocks and write nice things on them, and then you spread them around wherever you go.
We started doing kindness rocks at the very beginning because we wanted to find something that every age group, every demographic could be involved in order to recognize the boys and honor their memory. Spreading awareness through kindness has been a great way to start conversations with people of all ages. And normally we paint the rocks that are, a bunch of different colors, and we put nice messages on them. And they all have stickers on the back with QR codes that when scanned, it takes the person to our website, which tells them what we're all about and gives us an opportunity to reach people that we might not normally be able to talk to.
And hopefully that acts as a channel for others to find a way to donate.
It was a healing process for us to be able to sit down like this, and we would sometimes paint 3 or 4 nights a week. We've painted thousands of rocks, but we take them everywhere we go. Any place that we would have wanted the boys to be with us, we leave a piece of that there. So it's been another little bit of healing as we've gone. We were looking for a really meaningful way that we could make a difference in this space. And we sat together as a family and did a lot of research to see what was already available, and found some companies and nonprofits that are doing a great job. Some of them give away test strips, some of them do give away Narcan, but there's nobody that's kind of putting it all together. So we thought it would be really cool to put together a first aid kit, all geared toward being safer if you choose to go the route and experiment. So we have fact cards that are literally just, this one happens to be alcohol. We have them for MDMA. And on the back is just facts. Literally everything you would want to know about this drug, things to be careful with. And then some of the harm reduction things we offer are single-use breathalyzers, cup stickers that if you go to a bar or nightclub, you can cover your cup, and also little strips that you can test it to make sure that your drink has not been spiked. And those are just kind of in addition to what we are really trying to do, which is there should be no more fentanyl overdose of any kind ever. That's our goal. So we have fentanyl test strips with instructions how to do it. And we have Jordan to demonstrate in a minute. And we have how to recognize an overdose, what you should do, the steps you should take if you see it. We are in the process of getting Narcan that we also want to include in the box. And then we're giving these away for free. That's where the money that we have donated to us, that's where we want to put it all.
A few extra things we also add is just to spread more awareness about our rock project and the CJ Kindness rocks that we participate in. So we have these cute little bags that have one of our rocks with the QR code on the back that you can scan that brings you to the website and tells you more information, as well as just cute bracelets. We also have these In Loving Memory pamphlets that say just a little bit about the boys, who they are.
The most important thing to us as a family is to have their legacy be carried on. My son Christopher used to struggle sometimes with his place in the world, as I say. He just couldn't wrap his brain around how one person could make a difference in anything in the world. And I made it my mission to make sure that this would be it. This is one man or two making a difference in changing the way the world can be.
So in our kits, we include the fentanyl test strips, and we're going to demonstrate for you guys how they work with some baking soda and everything that it includes. You always want to test at least 10 milligrams of your drug to 1 milliliter of water. And with the kit, they give you a little 10 milligram scoop. And if you don't have that, you can actually look at a penny. And if you cover the hair on Abraham Lincoln's head, that's roughly about 10 milligrams. So what you're gonna do is take one scoop, a level scoop, and put it into a bottle cap. And then you're gonna open up your test strip. And then you're gonna put it with the wavy side into the water. And then when you do that, you'll wait 2 to 3 minutes. If you have 2 red lines, that means you have no fentanyl detected. And if it's 1 red line, that means that there was fentanyl detected. It's very quick and easy to do. It takes literally 2 to 3 minutes, and it can save your life.
In 2019, there was about almost 71,000 overdose deaths in the United States. And it's risen up to over 100,000 in just the past couple of years. So it's scary how fast it's going in the wrong direction. We want anybody who wants a box to be able to get one. Our long-term goals would be to get them in arenas, right? So we're thinking incoming freshman college kids, when they go to orientation, everybody gets a box. Or high school graduation kids, everybody gets a box. And we just think that the more awareness and information we can get out there, the more we can get a hold on unnecessary overdoses. And even if it's not you, or you're making the choice to not participate, you might be in a place where your friend or family member or stranger even is, and you can save someone's life by having one of these boxes with you. We know that it's hard to spark the conversation, and we're hoping that with these boxes, it's going to have so much information in it that people will want to share it and talk to their loved ones about it. So I think it's really important that it can be a conversation starter no matter where you're at on the journey.